And welcome into another victory post-game edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle, and really hard to believe, 26 days. That's how long it's been since the Stars have played at the American Airlines Center. Boy, the home cooking was really nice for the boys as they put up a 6th spot on a very good LA Kings team, 3rd place in that division, beating them 6-2. And it wasn't too long ago when the Kings beat the Stars in OT. LA actually had won the first 2 against the Stars this year in Los Angeles. This Kings team, though, Jekyll and Hyde, completely different home versus away. 19-3-3 at home, now just 12-15-5 away from Hollywood. The difference showed its colors tonight. And this is one of those games that I get excited about because when you see this Stars team is clicking, they win the special teams game. They play well in tight, and how effective they truly can be. 3 special teams goals, 2 for 3 on the power play, and then a late Sam Steele shorthanded goal. They also shut out the Kings on the power play. They have one of the top kills in the league. LA 0 for 4 tonight on the power play. And then I mentioned playing in tight. And on the first Stars goal, Thomas Harley with a real tough angle. And good things happen when you shoot the puck on net. We say that a lot. It's said a lot in NHL circles, but it's true. He places a shot almost parallel on Darcy Kempa, but it forced the Kings goalie to make a save. Rebound went right onto the stick of Jason Robertson. He puts it home. It's quickly 1-0 Stars. A couple of things. Thomas Harley continuing his strong play. He's been so amazing since the Miro Heiskanen injury, taking over that first overall spot from Heiskanen. 2 assists tonight, 10 points in his last 9 games. And how about Jason Robertson? Now that the foot is completely healed, what an absolute heater he's been. I know he was the subject of, we need to get rid of Jason Robertson. Jason Robertson isn't the same player anymore. His 25th goal of the season tonight. Robertson becomes the 6th Dallas player in the past 30 years to record 4 or more consecutive 25-goal campaigns. That's according to NHL stats. He joins Stars greats Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Mike Modano, Joe Pavelski, and a name we haven't mentioned in a while, Louis Eriksson. So nice list for Jason Robertson to be on, and he was absolutely terrific tonight. So was Roope Hintz. We'll get to Hintz in a second. All of the Stars' goals were in tight. When you even look at the shorthanded goal, that was in tight by Sam Steele. LA had no response to the Stars' net front presence. Wyatt Johnston with a tip-in goal. Logan Stankoven with 2 goals in the dirty area. They were just buzzing in front of the Kings net and Darcy Kemper all night long. A couple of key moments in the first period. You know, when you look at a 6-2 game, you say to yourself, well, that's a blowout. But actually, this first period decided the entire game. Stars on the power play up 2-1 on the back half of a double minor for Kings high sticking. Stars scored with 1 second left in the first half of the minor. That allowed them to stay on the power play for another 2 minutes. Well, a short time later during that power play, Warren Foegele, who scored the first Kings goal, has a shorthanded breakaway opportunity. Jake Ottinger, huge with the pad save, blocker side. So instead of the game being tied at 2, it remains a 2-1 Stars lead. And right after that double minor ended, Stankoven makes it 3-1. So a huge turn of events in the first period. Stars never looked back. Let's talk about some cool stats tonight. And there are a lot of them. Stars, 4+ goals in 9 out of their last 10 games. They're one of the top scoring teams since the calendar turned to 2025, 9-2-1 in their past 12 games. Their league-leading 16th win since January 1st. They extend their home streak against the Kings to 6 games. We just mentioned Roope Hintz, 4 assists tonight, sets a single-game career high. Also the 5th time in his career that he's had 4 points. When Roope Hintz is clicking, the Stars are clicking. Wyatt Johnston scored the team's second power play of the goal to extend his home point streak to 11 games. He becomes the third player in franchise history to post a run of that length before the age of 22. Oh my goodness, Wyatt Johnston, is your paycheck about to go up? Whew. He is young, he is talented, he is consistent, he is a two-way dominant player in this league. So this recent hot streak by the Stars has slowly but surely put some distance between them and the Minnesota Wild. The Stars now up 6 points over the Wild in that second position in the Central. They also hold a game in hand. Very unlikely that they'll catch up to Winnipeg. Technically, they have the second most points in the Western Conference, but the division winners get the top 2 seeds, which means it is very likely that it'll be the Stars with the home ice advantage over the Minnesota Wild in the first round. Stars are also, for perspective, up 13 points on the final wild card team, which is Vancouver as of right now. With all the turmoil happening in Vancouver, they are holding on to that final wild card spot. So practice tomorrow for the Stars and rest. They'll await the St. Louis Blues. The Stars' last look actually at a Central Division opponent was over a month ago, January 25th, against those same Blues. And could we see Four Nations winning goalie Jordan Binnington in net? Well, the Kings actually play the Blues on Saturday night in St. Louis. So will Binnington play at home, or will he play on Sunday against the Stars? And also, Binnington is one of those players mentioned in trade rumors. But here's the thing. The Blues are only 3 points back of that second wild card. In fact, Calgary, Utah, and the St. Louis Blues are all within 3 points. And this is one of the aspects that Jim Nill has mentioned several times. It's one of the many reasons that it's tough for this Stars team to pull off another trade, because there are limited teams, because there are so many more than usual teams still in the playoff mix. Therefore, the price is exceedingly high to acquire talent. Making the playoffs means making playoff revenue for those teams. So Stars playing amazing hockey right now, might pull off a small minor deal, but if you're looking for a big deal, I don't think it's going to happen at this point. I think they might fortify their defense with another piece. Let's see how long Bichel is going to be out, because that's a key component, but still getting it done. If not, I mean, defensively, they were actually good tonight, but offensively, just scoring goal after goal consistently now. I mean, hard to believe. Remember the beginning of the season, they were winning 2-1 or 3-2. Or they basically barely could get over 2 goals. And now they're one of the top scoring teams since January 1st. The power play, remember, it hit rock bottom at one point. We were calling for Pete DeBoer. We were saying, listen, we understand you have a situation with a close relationship, a dedicated man in Steve Spott, but we need change. And now look at the power play and how well it's doing. And Pete DeBoer mentioned that after the game with some serious meetings that took place between the players and the coaches as far as getting input. How can we improve? And the Stars certainly have done that. They're one of the better teams in the NHL since January 1st. So big game tonight, 6-2 victory over a very good LA Kings team, fighting for that third and second spot. But at the same time, just a solid playoff contender in LA with some terrific players. So Stars now have the Blues on Sunday. Then they face Jersey, who they just played in New Jersey, and then Calgary. So the beat rolls on as far as Stars taking on teams that are fringe playoff or in the playoff teams currently. So it doesn't necessarily get easier, but we'll see how they fare against St. Louis on Sunday. And of course, we'll be back with a post-game show after that earlier than usual start. It's a 5:00 start on Sunday, and we'll talk to you after the game with Spits and Suds right here on 105.3 The Fan. Until then, Have a great weekend, everybody. And welcome into another post-game edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan, another victory edition. And boy, Wyatt Johnston. Gosh, we love you here in DFW, but gosh, are you going to be expensive? Johnston scored 3 power play goals for the Stars. Stars ends the Blues 4-game winning streak, 6-3. The American Airlines Center. Johnston's second hat trick of the season, third in his career. Now, here's the fascinating story. One of those hat tricks, I believe it was last year, was on his dad's birthday, and today is his mom's birthday. So he had promised his mom, I'm going to get you a hat trick because I got dad one. So he made the promise. He came through. So I say to Wyatt's cousins, siblings, any other relative, please tell our Stars superstar that you would also like a hat trick like mom and pops so that we can have a lot more of this. Boy, it's almost like Wyatt Johnston has replicated what he did last year. Post January 1st, there's an argument to be made that Wyatt Johnston's one of the best players in the NHL. Was and continued until the Stars lost in the conference finals. You could say he was snake bitten to begin the year. Hit some posts, just wasn't going in the net. But just around late December, heading into the new year, Wyatt Johnston started going on a heater and has not cooled down one bit. Also, listen, Roope Hintz had a goal and 3 assists. Mason Marchment, great to see him back on the scoreboard. Matt Duchene, they both had a goal and an assist. Thomas Harley, 2 more assists. So when you look at the Stars' record, they're 39-19-2. They have points in 12 of the past 14 games, where they are 11-2-1. Okay. So now I'm going to get you excited with some stats. So Stars fans, buckle up, because what I'm about to say is beautiful. Like I said, 10-2-1 in their last 13. 17 wins since January 1st. 4+ goals in 10 out of their last 11 games. They're one of the top scoring teams in 2025. Roope Hintz, 7 assists in the last 2 games. 12-game home point streak for Wyatt Johnston. Who's better than that? Oh, I don't know. All-time Stars great Dino Ciccarelli. All-time Stars great Mike Modano. I mean, the kid is just on the list with all-time greats. In the last 2 games, Stars 6 for 7 on the power play, 4 for 4 tonight. And really, that's the story of this weekend sweep for the Stars. Win against LA on Friday night, win again tonight against the St. Louis Blues. They have absolutely maximized the opponent's mistakes. Let's talk about Friday night. The double minor high stick at a crucial point in the game for the Kings Friday night. First goal of the game tonight, the Stars score on the power play after a dangerous hit by Radek Faksa. Just 2 players going hard, Faksa, Lyubushkin. But anytime you're that close to the boards and you do that push forward, and the feet go from underneath the player that's closest to the boards, that is so dangerous. Thank goodness Ilya Lyubushkin returned. That was very, very scary. But the Stars were playing with 5 defensemen for a good portion of the game. So I just told you all those amazing stats. And after a 6-3 win, it is so unique to say that I think I agree with Eddie Olczyk, who said the Stars were outplayed in a lot of parts of this game. I mean, you look, and they were clearly outshot, but specifically in the second period. And this was not a 6-3 game. The Stars broke it out in the third period. But it was 4-3, and Jake Ottinger, who seemed to fight the puck at times, came up in big spots. And that's what you want from your goaltender. So we, and myself included, get caught up in goals against, save percentage. And Jake is among the best in the league at that. But sometimes we don't give enough credit to what the analytics won't tell you, in that when the game's on the line, goalies come up in massive situation. Even if they give up 4, they won't give up that 5th. So it's not going to look good on the stat sheet, but boy, did they come up big. And let's talk about that let's talk about that Blues breakaway. I mean, that would have tied the game. But Jake Ottinger continued to come up big. He was scrambling in that second period as St. Louis had a lot of Dallas zone time. They were making the most of it. But luckily, Jake came up big. Stars then broke away in the third with 2 straight Wyatt Johnston power play goals. That sealed the game. Okay, before we get to your tweets, and you guys sent a lot of them tonight, let's talk about the trades that happened this weekend in the Central Division. 3, in fact. Seth Jones, the Frisco native, who report tonight, said that 2 teams were on his list, and these were the 2 teams that they wanted to speak to. Now, this is just one report, Florida and Dallas. The report went on to say that Dallas did not have interest. Just a report. So Seth Jones goes to Florida. In return, the Blackhawks get Spencer Knight, who, by the way, I like. Former first-round pick, 13th overall in 2019. The Blackhawks also get Florida's first-round pick in 2027. So you're looking, whoever you pick there, because Florida's a pretty good team, I think that will be used for currency in another trade, because that player's not going to show up till 2030, 2031. The NHL is such a immediacy league that I think it would be tough to keep that pick, but the Blackhawks continue, and this is what's tough, being an original 6 team, the expectations, and then Chicago, just when you think, when they have the first round pick, when they have Connor Bedard, you think that, all right, here comes Chicago, and then they revert back, and now they're sell mode, and they've traded Taylor Hall, they've traded most of their players, and now it's a situation where the rebuild happens again. I don't want to say I feel bad for Chicago, who won 3 Stanley Cups, but if I'm a Blackhawks fan, it is tough right now. Going through 2 rebuilds in just a few years, boy, that's tough. Okay, so the Blackhawks also keep about 26%, around $2.5 million of Jones's salary for the remaining years, which is until 2029, 2030. So Florida now has Seth Jones on the books for $7 million a year, 5 more years following this year. Interesting to know, puck-moving defenseman, former number 1 overall pick for the Panthers, Stanley Cup winner Aaron Ekblad. He'll be up after this year as an unrestricted free agent, currently 29 years old. He makes $7.5 million a year. So Florida might have used this for a couple of reasons. One, for a run this year while they can retain both Ekblad and Jones, but also maybe some insurance. Whereas Ekblad moves on and a team offers them a big contract, Florida now has a backup with Seth Jones, puck-moving defenseman. I like Seth Jones as a player. I like his size. He just hasn't been on a good team in a long time, and injuries have been real tough. So going to be interesting. There's a lot of talent on that Florida team, and it's the first time in a long time that Seth Jones is on a Stanley Cup contender. Let's see how he does. Now, another trade. Gustav Nyquist goes from the Predators to Minnesota. It's his second tour of the Wild. First came to the Wild, played in 3 games and got injured. Nyquist went from a 75-point, really just a terrific campaign last year with the Preds. With that, Preds came out of nowhere, looked like they were going to rebuild, and they make the playoffs. Now to just 21 points in just over 50 games. But has anything gone right for the Preds? So maybe a change of scenery will certainly help Gustav Nyquist. But here's what's important with the deal with Stars fans. Minnesota sends a 2026 second-round pick in exchange. So who else has a 2026 second-round pick available? The Dallas Stars. While they may not have currency this year, that's a pretty good gauge as far as what a second-round pick will get for you. Stars also have a third-round pick as well as a first. So if someone's looking for 2026 picks, the Stars do have some assets after this upcoming draft. In the Avalanche, boy, they're a much different team than when the year began. Avalanche trade defenseman Calvin DeHaan, forward Juuso Parssinen. And Parssinen was with the Predators and was traded around the holidays to Colorado. Now he goes to the New York Rangers. Also, 2 draft picks to the Rangers in exchange for defenseman Ryan Lindgren, Jimmy Vesey, and the rights to defenseman Hank Kemp. So, as I mentioned, the Rangers acquired a 2nd-round pick, a 4th-round pick in the upcoming 2025 draft. New York is retaining 50% of Lindgren's salary for the rest of the season. Lindgren has spent his entire 7-year playing career with the Rangers, kind of the headline of the trade, so to speak. 54 games this year, 19 points, plus minus a +1. He is going to be an unrestricted free agent after this year. Vesey does provide some forward depth, just an NHL veteran for the Avs. And for the Rangers, DeHaan logged 7 assists in 44 games for Colorado. He's also becoming a UFA this summer. So the days are counting down. And as Jim Nill has pointed out, and as we talked about on this podcast Friday night, who will keep or who will trade? Boston loses to Minnesota today. So Boston on the outside. So it's kind of 2 things. 1, do you think you're going to make the playoffs? And 2, if it's a first-round exit, is it worth the currency that you could get back for one of your good players? The other thing is what message does it send to the rest of the locker room? And I understand it's a business, but at the same time, I think one of the reasons Matt Duchene came here was because of Jim Nill and because of the leadership. And the Stars are more in a win now mentality. But at the same time, when you look up at the Stars makeup and you look at the confidence that the players have in management, that goes a long way, not just with your current players, as far as their confidence in the room. When a new guy comes in the room, it's like, all right, reinforcements, here we go. They believe in us upstairs. But it also tells free agents that this Dallas Stars team is here to win. So when you look at the pieces that they picked up this year, clearly both have certainly helped out. So that was a really strong trade that the Stars made with the San Jose Sharks. Now, do they have enough to make another trade? And to me, when you're scoring the goals that you're scoring right now, when your power play is as good as it is, to me, defensive depth. When you lose Nils Lundqvist for the season, when you lose Miro Heiskanen for the season, when Liam Bischel's out with a concussion, you really are playing a few players logging a lot of minutes for this Stars team. Thomas Harley, a lot of minutes tonight. Oh, want to get in my podcast plug for Esa Lindell. I mean, the guy made 3 or 4 stick plays tonight, poking the puck away. Just so impressive. And he just does little things where it kind of gets lost in the shuffle when you win with 6 goals scored, when you're scoring 4+ goals a game. But Esa Lindell is having arguably maybe his best season with Dallas. And you look at that contract that he signed and you're like, boy, the Stars, if this continues, are getting just true value out of Esa Lindell. You guys had a lot of questions, opinions tonight, so let's go through them. Brian Schofield's asked, I think we all owe Coach Steve Spott an apology. I say we pitch in on a half dozen donuts for the 6 goals in the last 2 games. Yeah. So Pete DeBoer mentioned, when asked about the power play recently, that they had candid conversations where the players expressed their opinion and the coaches expressed their opinion. And that's what a good team that is gelled together has the ability to do. And I think that's one of the things that Pete DeBoer brings to the table and why he's been successful is the players truly trust him. And the players trust him for a number of reasons. Listen, whether or not Seth Jones was traded based on his post-game comments the other day, he's been pretty outspoken. but just talked about his frustrations after the game and then traded shortly after. You don't see that from the Stars locker room. Now, granted, they're winning 2 straight conference finals. That'll do it. Playing good hockey this year. But the players truly trust upper management, and they also trust the coaching staff. So kudos, but I will say, you can talk about it all coming together. But at the same time, you can also see this power play much more in tight as far as their shots on net, rather than playing from the outside, looking for that perfect pass, that perfect shot for the one-timer, that extra pass that's going to open up the net. You see the amount of goals. And you also see something. When your power play is successful, teams cannot focus on one player. So that defensively opens up the opposition for you to take advantage. How many tic-tac-toe plays did the Stars have tonight? I mean, they're passing. We can say that they had like maybe even a down night, but the talent outwilled St. Louis. Not that they played bad. It's just that you think at spurts they could play a lot better, but the talent showed. And the confidence shows on this Stars power play. So an apology, yeah, I'll raise my hand because I wanted them to make a change. And I'm really glad that it happened. But I do think they made some adjustments. Husky says, at what point does Jim Nill say, F it, and call up Capo Bianco and Petrovic and tell Pete to use them over Dumba? Because Dumba has been caught puck chasing and leave his D spot several times over the last 3 games, usually leading to a goal against. Well, Husky, I will say this. Do you really think Capo Bianco and Petrovic are better than Matt Dumba? I don't, actually. As much as I want Dumba to sit, yeah. I think Brendan Smith was probably the worst defenseman on the ice tonight. He got caught more times than Dumba did. And I mean, I like Brendan Smith for defensive depth, but I think we are seeing some holes there. So we need Big Bish back. That's the key. We need Big Bish back. And hopefully they can go get some defensive help as well to put in some games. But don't discount the impact Cody Ceci has had defensively for this team. I know a lot of people dogged him, but without Cody Ceci, this team is in trouble for the amount of minutes that he has logged and the effective minutes and the high pressure minutes that Cody Ceci has logged and the puck moving ability of Cody Ceci. He has been really good for this Dallas Stars team. Michael says, Steve Spott, I am sorry. My question is, the Stars giving up a lot of shots, so they're not going to make a trade. What's the fix? I just have to get better defensively. And that's not just defensemen, that's forwards as well. St. Louis at times was controlling the zone, and that's a big portion of it. So I think just an all-around better defensive effort, another tough one coming in. And let's be honest, these teams that they are playing are desperate right now. LA Kings fighting, St. Louis Blues fighting, New Jersey coming in fighting, Calgary on Thursday fighting, Vancouver on Sunday fighting. All these teams are fighting for playoff position. And you could even make a case for Edmonton on Saturday night. So it's not like the Stars have San Jose's on their schedule. That's already gone. Thank goodness Anaheim, the way they played against Anaheim, is no longer on the schedule. But we do have to give credit to the opposition. I mean, St. Louis, look at Jim Montgomery pulling the goalie on a back-to-back and putting Jordan Binnington in. I thought it was genius. That was a great move. You put your starter back in. It's a confidence lift. It tells the rest of the team, this is how important these games are. Now, St. Louis didn't win, but I just love the move by Jim Montgomery. And by the way, you can do that when you're on a 5-year coaching contract. All right. William says, William Willow 2, fun game to watch. I'm excited for the last half of the year. I hope we can get another defenseman just in case some get hurt. T Jetman says, I have to be honest, Gavin, hats are expensive. Methinks I'd be hanging on to mine. Yeah, that's so fascinating. I love the tradition, but I think I'd be holding on to my cap too. Yeah, caps are expensive nowadays. Unless you're like, you know what? I'm going to bring an extra cap to the game, or I'm not going to wear my best cap so I can throw it. So Sean Shapiro and I did a little investigating. Actually, it was Sean Shapiro last year, and all the hats are picked up. And I believe you really wanted to, you might be able to retrieve it from the Stars, but they do get them all washed and they give them to charity. So it's not like they're just throwing them out. Kenny Chadwell asked, great to see the power play come alive tonight. Yeah, come alive since January 1st. How likely do you think it is that we see another trade before the deadline to shore the back end? If the deal is right, Jim Nill will make it. But the question is two things. The Stars don't have immediate assets unless they want to trade one of their young guns. And I think we all agree we want to keep the young guns. Okay? So that's the first part. The second part, Jim Nill, because the young guns are up. Maverick Bork, restricted free agent. Thomas Harley after this year. Wyatt Johnston up as a restricted free agent after this year. Matt Duchene up. Evgeny Dadonov up. Captain Jamie Benn up. Jim Nill does not want to bring on a player that has multiple years remaining, and a lot of your good players have that. And why is that? Because of the players I just mentioned. Jim Nill likes this core a lot, and he wants to keep it intact. So therefore, unless Jim Nill pulls one over on us, the thinking is that we are going to be looking at a UFA coming in, just like Cody Ceci is a UFA after this season, and Granlund's a UFA after this season. All right. And so great questions tonight, guys. Great questions. You brought it. Hey, a couple of things. One, we had 4 nations this year, and that kind of stifled us for about a week and a half as far as podcasts, but we still were able to put up the best numbers we have ever done in February for Spits and Suds. So thank you so much. Many of those episodes are evergreen. So if you get a chance, spin it back a little bit. I try to ask questions on some of these interviews that have to do with now, but also a lot of evergreen questions. 2, always want to give a stick tap. Don't do it enough to our producer, Gregory Finley, who's been with us since day one of us growing this podcast. Absolutely money, keeping me on my toes on all these broadcasts. So special stick tap to Greg Finley and the work he does on Spits and Suds. So, boy, do we have a busy week ahead. We have Tuesday, New Jersey. So Thursday, hit me up at GJ Spittle. If you're going to Thursday's game against Calgary, I will be at the game. I will buy you a Frosty as a thank you for listening to Spits and Suds or 105.3 The Fan. So if you're going to the game on Thursday, just hit me up at GJ Spittle. I'll deliver a beer for you. The only caveat I say is I love to meet as many people as I can. So if you come to my section, that would absolutely be wonderful on Thursday. Just hit me up. I'll tell you where I'm sitting. And so lots of podcasts to do this week. We got Tuesday, Thursday, we got Saturday, we got Sunday. We're going to have a busy week, and it's all going to happen right here. Spits and Suds is the place to be. And don't forget, if you subscribe to Apple Podcasts, one of the things that helps us is when you give us a rating and tell us why you like Spits and Suds. It helps our correspondents like Robert Tiffin. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to Stars Thoughts, that is absolutely a terrific website and Substack. Also, David Castillo at Starstack. So Sean has a Substack. His is at Shap Shots. So many of our Spits and Suds contributors, I love supporting them. I try to support them both personally and professionally, help them out so they can make a living covering this great team. So if you have an opportunity, go on Apple and give us a rating and talk about Spits and Suds, because what it does is it moves us up on the list as far as Stars podcasts. People see it. They see the high rating. They see the reviews and they say, all right, I'm going to give this a try. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow this great game together. So until next time, Stars fans, just enjoy this ride, because I certainly am. Until then, have a great day, everyone.